Alright, Shalom. Shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you with another lesson. First and foremost, let's give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Okrak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're going to go into martial law. Okay, these shutdowns, which is prophecy. So we're going to go into, all that, martial law, civil unrest, anarchy, which is soon approaching. Alright, because you got things being stirred up right now between that war in Venezuela, alright, and the U.S., but you got to remember, Russia is over there too, It's not just Venezuela. So it's, things are going to be, escalating here more and more. So where, your everyday life, where you have your, your routine and, just going to go get coffee, going to Starbucks, taking the family on a trip, or, just going to the movies and, going to go eat breakfast and stuff like that at cafes. That's all about to come to a stop. All right, because like this world has been witnessing around the world, that's been happening, like in Ukraine, Gaza, all that. How it's all out war out there, and the townspeople are just suffering. Okay, that's coming to America. All right, it's right here at our doorstep. It's about to get very medieval out here. But not only that, but very uncomfortable. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We're gonna go into 2nd Esdras, chapter 15 and 16. And we're gonna just give you a thorough breakdown, because these two chapters right here, really go in to martial law, the times that are approaching right now. All right, to just give you a thorough breakdown of what exactly is about to happen out here. 2nd Esdras chapter 15 verse 1, and we'll go down to maybe about like the 18, 19 verse to see what happens in the spirit, and then we'll jump to the 2nd Esdras chapter 16, and get all that meat off that chapter there. 2nd Esdras chapter 15 verse 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, said the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Right. So the prophets are not doing their own will. Okay, they're not doing what they feel is right, what they think is right. They're doing their own will. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people, so the Israelites, okay, the elect, which I will put in thy mouth, said the Lord. Because the prophets, really have divine intervention from the Almighty, from the Creator, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai. Yeah. And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Yeah, because it's going to happen, The only people's, doctrines that are being made, not to come true is everybody else's. These religions. Because remember, Hebrew Israelite, that's our nationality. And the prophets are just teaching the truth. That's it, it's not no religion. See, all these other religions, Buddha, Muslims, where's all these people's gods at, You see? So we're coming to a time where the Lord is going to expose all these religions around the world to show you that they're all man-made. All right, because right now the true doctrine of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is speaking louder than ever, and the Lord is bringing it to the light before everybody's eyes. See? Verse 3. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. So incredulity means non-belief. So just because someone doesn't believe it, even comes up against it, it's not going to change the fact that UN troops are here. Sleeper cells are in America. You're going to have World War III going on. You're going to have famine going on all around the world. You see, so just because people come up against it, they can't change the prophecy that the Lord has coming down the pipe. For verse 4, check it out. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. So there it is. So you don't even gotta worry about where they're gonna end up. The Lord told us right here. So all the unfaithful, so everybody that don't believe, everybody, they're gonna die in their unfaithfulness, because we're entering the second death. Okay, remember the first death was by the flood, when the Lord took, when Yahweh Shemel Shai took out everybody on the planet except 8 people: Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, a total of 8 souls. This time, the Lord's gonna take out billions, okay, by plagues, ICBMs. See? So all those that don't believe, you already know what's gonna happen. You already know their land or end. See? Alright, verse 5. Behold, said the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, I will bring plagues upon the world. The sword, famine, death, and destruction. Okay, so the sword represents war, civil wars, race wars. Okay, there's going to be a war against those who believe in the Lord, because there's that heavy persecution coming. Oh, absolutely, okay? That heavy persecution is coming. Remember, those of you that truly believe in the Lord, you're going to have a very, very heavy, there's very, very heavy persecution are going to come against those that believe in the Lord. Okay, a very, very heavy persecution, because just because, yes, the elites and the left-hand side are going down, remember, they're not going to go down without a fight. So it is going to be very brutal out here. It's going to be very cutthroat. There's going to be a lot of backstabbing, because remember, there's a lot of agents. There's clones out here, super soldiers. There's a lot that the general population don't know about. See? All right, so there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of heavy stuff going down, before it's all, said and done. All right, before Yahushua gets here. Famine, starvation, okay? That's a major right there. Because in these major cities, Seattle, Dallas, New York, okay, there is a lot of people. There's a lot of mouths to feed, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot. Death, right? So that's the time that we're entering, okay? Death, which is, by these world wars, okay? By these civil wars, death by people starving because they don't have enough food or water to drink and to eat, okay? And destruction, yeah, because these cities are going to be cast down. You guys ever seen that movie, The Purge? All right, or like Bushwick, all right, or like the Book of Eli, okay, because people were wasting cities and all that, but just for what? Just for essentials, People were kidnapping people because they can use their they can steal their boots, steal their clothes, see what they got in their backpacks, because it's gonna come down to that where people are fighting just to survive, just for a couple drops of water, just for a can of Spam. People are going to be killing one another just for a can of beans. Anything. It's gonna be that bad out here. Even what is it? Cannibalism. Okay, cannibalism's coming back in a major way. All right, imagine that, where food is gonna be so scarce that not only are people gonna be out there looking for food, but people are gonna become food, because food and water is gonna run out real fast, especially like in these big cities like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Dallas, all these major cities around the world, San Diego, Orange County, okay, Florida, where there's heavy population, all right, where there's a lot of people there. There's going to be remember, because where there's a lot of people, there's a lot of mouths to feed, and there's not that many stores and grocery stores that are in these cities. They have a few, yeah, but without trucks bringing in food and water, all right, there's not that many stores out here. You got some farms out here, but you have to drive a distance to reach to those farms. And those people that live in these major cities, remember, martial law is going to be implemented. So there's going to be soldiers out here, tanks. There's going to be you're going to have the Russians and the Chinese here fighting against the American military. There's going to be a lot going here. So you're not going to be able to move from city to city just like, all right, well, let's just go to another town and let's see what's over there, honey. No, it's you're going to be locked in. People are going to be so scared because once the people run out of food, people are going to have to take each other's lives, and once people, because not everybody's built for war, even soldiers, when they go to war, they come back after they see people being put to death in front of them, walking over dead bodies. They don't come back the same. Okay, that's very detrimental to their minds. So imagine families that are just families of citizens of these cities. Imagine them seeing families and daughters and sons murdered to death, stabbed to death, just because, or even eaten in front of them. Imagine, So people are going to be so afraid, they're not even going to want to leave. People might just die right there in their basement because they're like, I'm not going outside. Because they saw how people were killed, slaughtered, Yeah, imagine that, Yep. So people are going to be so afraid. Some people are not even they're going to be so frightened and just so in shock that they're not even going to want to leave the city. They're like, no, I'm not leaving. Forget that, People are going to be like that, Verse 6, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Right, because this place is due. Okay, therefore said the Lord. Yes, so we're going to skip down a few verses, because, this place is exceedingly polluted. All right, the wickedness and the iniquity of this place is over the top. And now the harvest is ripe. Now it's time. Now it's time to, now it's time for that, for that judgment. Like the scriptures tells us in St. Jude, chapter 1, verse 15. Okay, the Lord's going to execute judgment out here. So let's jump on down to the, let's see here, bear with me. We go down to the 10th verse. 2nd Esdras chapter 15 verse 10 on down. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. Right, because especially those of the 2/3 that are not taking heed to the word of the Lord and these prophecies. Okay, you have Esau, these leaders, these global elite banking families. All right, they're gonna lead them right to that guillotine. They're gonna lead them right to take that RFID chip. See, they're gonna lead them right there. And the Lord's gonna allow them because the Lord don't want the 2/3. So the Lord is gonna allow Esau, to do whatever he wants to do to them. So the 2/3 are about to be in a world of hurt and a world of hurt, because the Lord's gonna actually let the wicked go to town on them and have a field day on them. See? All right. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. Alright, so let's go to let's read that 10th verse again. Behold, my people is led as the flocks to the slaughter, and I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Right, because the elect are on reserve. The elect are going to get beamed out of here, okay, into a spaceship, so-called UFO. Verse 11, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. So that mighty hand is Yahushai. Okay, Yahushai is the right hand of Yahweh, and the stretched out arm. That stretched out arm is talking about the angels, because it's not just Michael that's just gonna stand up. Okay, the angels are here. Yep, and there's many. All right, there's many. There's many. See, so a stretched out arm represents the angels. And smite Egypt with plagues as before. Right, because Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and the angels are about to go to town on this planet. Okay, they're going to plague this planet. You see, all right. But America is going to get plagued heavy, like the way Egypt did. You know, America's in for, you know, one hell of a long night. You know, we'll put it like that. Excuse my Italian. You know, it's going to be, you know, crazy out here and then some. Remember, because the Lord and the angels are actually intervening. It's not just, you know, man and just wars and starvation and oh, the elites are going to starve. No, remember, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and the angels are gonna plague this place too. You know, where people are gonna be bleeding out of their eyes and who knows. Okay, but the Lord has a lot of stuff in store for the wicked. A lot of plagues, a lot of plagues. Alright, so brace yourselves. As before, and will destroy the land thereof. Right, because Israel and America will be completely nuked. Completely from the west coast to the east coast. Alright, Israel is going to be completely nuked. All of it is going to be completely nuked. The only difference is that Israel is going to be rebuilt and America's not. America is going to be left as like a memorial, a place where in the kingdom, you know, the whole world's going to remember what the Lord did to America. All right, the whole world's going to remember, and the whole world's going to know. All right, because the Lord's going to rock this place so bad that everybody's going to hear about it. Just like now, there's books and there's even movies made about the flood. Remember Exodus? Okay, that's what's going to happen, but to America. Okay, but America is about to be, you know, over the charts. You know, because you're going to have Leviathan coming out of the ocean. The Lord's going to release dinosaurs out here, dragons. Okay, the ICBMs are going to be going off. The people are going to be killing each other. The spaceships are going to be here zapping people to powder, beating the elect up. Can you imagine? There's going to be tornadoes, tsunamis, you know, EMPs going off. There's a whole lot going on. The angels out here, you know, the 144 out here performing miracles, you know, shooting lasers out of their eyes, you know, disintegrating our enemies, you know, turning them to powder. Yeah, imagine. So, you know, we're entering a very serious time, but at the same time, a very exciting time, you know. Verse 12, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten, and the plague and punishment that the Most High Yahweh shall bring upon it. See? Because who's bringing all this? It's the Lord. Alright? Yes, the elites have their hand in it, but the Lord is using them. Alright? The Esau is the sword of the Lord, but on the left-hand side. See? But that's it. But he can't he can't, he plays a part on the chessboard. Yes, he's a chess piece on the chessboard, but he can't move himself. Only the player can. Only the Lord can. See, so the Lord moves people when He wants. Yes, the Edomites are the sword of the Lord on the left-hand side, but the Lord's the one swinging it. See? So if the Lord is controlling these devils, you don't think He can have them like, okay, like, don't take out this person or this person because they're my servants, or this family right here believes in me, don't take them out? Of course. See? So once you realize that the Lord is the one bringing it, that He's the one controlling everything, then you got more of an understanding, Verse, let's see. Verse 13. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. Okay? Because, there's going to be, like big old hail out here, storms, tsunamis, like when you have those terrible, terrible storms, tornadoes and all that, powerful hurricanes and all that. Man, imagine in that day, the Lord's going to have everything amped up, for to destroy. You see? So the Lord can have all kinds of, big old tsunamis just take out cities. The Lord can just have tornadoes out here taking people out. Who knows? The Lord's going to have a lot going on out here. A lot, See? If the Lord gave these Edomites and these heathens power to control the weather and all that, with their harp and all that, all right, what do you think the Lord can do? And the angels? Imagine? It's going to get it's going to be very bad out here, ladies and gentlemen. Verse 13. They that till the ground. Let's go verse 14. It's a lot. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Right. So Esdras is saying, woe to the world. Okay? Woe to the world, because it's the world. It's not just the UK. Okay? It's not just Africa. It's not just Australia. It's not just America. It's not just South America. It's the world. Verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. So it's right here. We're coming to the end of this thing, ladies and gentlemen. Akim Aqua. And one people shall stand up and fight against another. Civil war. And swords in their hands. So there can be a literal sword or anything, a machine gun, whatever, knives. Because remember, there's a lot of people out here that are, what do you call, like preppers? Like they're buying guns and stuff, but they don't have that many guns like a military, where they have storage bins full of weapons and stuff like that, See, where they have containers and containers of bullets. They don't have stuff like that, because your average prepper out here, people that are going to fight, they may have like maybe 1,000 rounds, maybe 2,000, but that's it. That's gonna run out fast. In a real gun battle, you go through 1,000 bullets fast. You go through 100 bullets fast. Just look at when you play video games. When you're trying to shoot something, how many bullets do you use? Imagine you just having 2,000 bullets. Okay, because a lot of these preppers are gonna be on foot. All right, so on foot, how much artillery and ammo can they really carry? Yeah, they can carry a little bit, but not that much, where you can last for months and months. So in a real gun battle where they have to fight, like 50 people against 50 people are gonna run out of ammo. So it's gonna go back to knives, machetes, and that's where a lot of people, you guys are gonna witness people being hacked to death, being stabbed to death. Which I think, that's just my opinion, is far worse than a gun. Because a gun, yeah, it can get very nasty, it can tear out your arms, and because it's like a quicker death. But knives, it takes time, Sometimes people bleed out, it takes time, You hear the person just yelling while getting stabbed, Sometimes they're running while getting stabbed, and then, then they finally fall down, and then the person on top is just stabbing them to death. A lot of people are about to witness that. Men, women, and children. You're about to witness people getting stabbed to death out here. Yeah, just because for survival, to protect themselves or their families, just to get their can of spam, just because that person has the last water bottle in the city. Yeah, it's about to get very, very medieval out here. Extremely. Verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, all right, and invading one another, right? Because people are sedition, they're gonna rise up against these governments, because what happened with Trump. Remember, not everybody agreed with that. You even had United States Marines that said, "Hey, what Trump's doing is unconstitutional," So they're resigning and all that. So you're gonna have, remember, civil war, because not everybody agrees with these leaders. Some agree, but some don't. See, so you're gonna have a great civil war. Like, nah, this shit ain't right, See, but not everybody's thinking like you. Remember that you and your household and your community may say, yeah, this is not right, but you got the other town saying, yeah, this is right. Bring it on. See, so you're gonna have Americans fight against Americans. See, you're gonna have a lot out here. Not only that, you're gonna have a lack of food and water. You see, so there's many wars out here that are gonna happen. You're gonna have people just fighting because you guys don't believe, and your leaders, you guys don't like what they're doing. So there's gonna be a fight on that. There's gonna be a fight just for survival because you ran out of food and water. Your gas, your electricity, your water, and power is gonna be shut off. Internet, your cell phones. See, so there's gonna be many wars out here. There's many battles, fighting for many reasons out here, and invading one another. Look at that, okay? Invading one another, right? Because people are going to be invading one another. Why might that be? Why might that be? Why are people going to be invading one another? Why might that be? So right here you have it says let's get that again from the top. Second Esdras chapter 15 verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right, because people are going to take matters in their own hands. See that? Invading one another, breaking into each other's. If people out here, if you guys got, what is it? A company, if you have like some people have like liquor stores, they got like family businesses, restaurants. People are going to be invading your apartment, invading your houses, breaking into your cars, because there's going to be such a lack of your basic essentials to survive. So they're going to, when there's all out, anarchy and looting going off, the people riot, because people are upset. They're like, damn. So imagine when there's no food coming in or out. When people, they riot, they get upset because they didn't get their way, they riot and destroy stores, do all that, because the people are unhappy. All right, well, can you imagine in that day, where it's martial law, and that there's no food or water, nothing coming in or out? You imagine that? So that's it's a very, very heavy time. Because look at how the people uproar when people don't like something or they think something's not fair. When people are upset, look at how much they riot. Go on destroy the cars. Remember, they were throwing rocks at police officers. You know, destroying cop cars, shutting down freeways and stores just because people were upset. Imagine if there's no food out here, nothing coming in or out, and you can't even leave because there's tanks, outside your neighborhood. You imagine? It's about to be all out war out here. There's about to be a lot of blood that's about to spill out here. Verse 16 from the top, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right, because they're not going to care about their kings or princes, what the city mayor says, what the city council, even what the president say, They're not going to care what their local leaders and officials, their county sheriffs, their deputies, they're not going to care, because there's going to be such a lack of food and bread out here that they're going to say, well, I can't listen because, we're dying, my family, we're starving. So people are going to have to take matters in their own hands. All right. Remember, like a little while ago, when there was no aid coming in Texas pretty much told the government, well, we're going to do our own thing, because you guys are not helping us, and we got sleeper cells coming through our border, and there's no aid, so we're going to take matters in our own hands. Remember that? Like that, okay? But that's going to be happening, imagine, all around the U.S., okay, and all around the world, because it's a worldwide scale, but mainly in the U.S., okay? So imagine like that, because you're going to have cities like, hey, well, we can't listen to our mayors or nothing because there's no food coming in or out. They're telling us to stay in our houses to stay calm, that help is coming, but there's no help coming, We're running out of food. We have nothing, We're starving, People are dying. So people are going to be like, we can't. We have to go out there. So it's going to be an all-out war out there. See, so people are going to take matters in their own hands. Verse 17, here's the point. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Martial law. Because these cities are going to be under militarized zones. Nobody in, nobody out. You see? All right? So you're not going to be able to go from one city to another. You're not going to be able to leave. Let's say if you got to go home or you got to go pick up your children from sports or school. All right, especially now, right? Like your average person works like at least 20 miles from their house. You have some people who work close by, but your average citizen out here has to drive like at least 20 miles to work plus. So a lot of people, you're not going to be able to make a home to your families. See that? So people are going to desire to go into a city, to go back from home, from work. Let's say you're on a family vacation, they declare martial law. Let's say you're just visiting friends, whatever. They declare martial law. Remember, there's going to be checkpoints, tanks, all right, barricades where you're not going to be able to go into your city. You may come up to the military and say, hey, I got to go in there. I live right there. They're going to say, well, I'm sorry, you ain't got no military clearance. You ain't getting in here. You say, well, hey, I got my sons in there, there's no one there to watch them. They're not going to care, okay, because they got orders. There's a big difference, a major difference between police officers and soldiers. Because soldiers just follow orders. They're not going to care, okay, what you got to say. You say, oh, well, my children are dying. They're not going to care. They're not going to let you through that barricade. See? So a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, you're not even going to make it back home because you're not going to know what hour, these elites are going to declare martial law and, put United States on total lockdown, See? All right, so a lot of people, you're not gonna be able to make it back home. You know, let's say you just went down this, you went a couple cities down just to go get like a good sandwich because you like this Italian sub place, and you want to go get like a nice turkey sub or a nice pastrami sandwich. Then they declare martial law. You can't even get back home. Let's say you're a prepper. You had guns, water, dry meats, and everything. You can't even make it back home just because you're gonna go get a sandwich. So a lot of people are just gonna be out and about, just go get the most simplest things, and they're not even gonna be able to. They're not even gonna be able to make it back home. See, so that's gonna be a lot of cases out there, and so a lot of you guys out there are just gonna be left out there. Whatever, in your car. Let's say you don't have that much gas. Whatever you have with you, that's it. That's it. Imagine you're just left in a city where you don't even know nobody, and you're just out there. Okay, how much more for you women? There's a lot of women out here who are in these cars by themselves. There's a lot of single women out here that drive these cars all by themselves, and they have to drive miles to work. They have to drive miles just to get back home. So there's gonna be a lot of women just left out here. They're gonna be just left out here. But all by themselves. Imagine. So imagine how brutal it's gonna be. And then when cities are just locked in, those individuals are just gonna be right there. They're gonna have to survive. See? So yeah, it's a very serious time. It's very heavy. The time because you gotta think about all those. You gotta think about all those cases. Okay, you gotta think about all those. You gotta think about all those. Those case scenarios. Not just we're gonna be with our family and our friends and we're ready to fight. A lot of you guys are not gonna be. A lot of you guys are not gonna be. Are not gonna be able to fight. A lot of people. Okay, are not gonna be home. They're not gonna be able to fight because they're just gonna get left out there. You see? All right, a lot of people. You see? So this is just something that you want to something that you want to take into consideration. Something that you want to something you want to think about. So that's right there. That's 2 Esdras chapter 15 verse 17 is martial law. So people are not going to be able to travel to one city to another like you do now. You see? All right, verse 18. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, and houses shall be destroyed. Houses shall be destroyed. Right. Just like we were just talking about, okay? Houses are going to be destroyed, okay? Houses are going to be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, right? So if men are going to be afraid, how much more women and children? See that? Because you don't think, why might, let's just stop right there real quick. Let's just think about it. Why might men be afraid? Yeah, there's war going on. Okay. Yeah, but one of the main reasons why a lot of people are going to be afraid is because they're not going to have answers. They're not going to know, well, shit, man, is there any help coming? What's going on? Is the government lying to us or what the fuck? All right, excuse my Italian. So people are going to be like that, like, damn, Another reason why a lot of people, especially parents, are going to be afraid because they're going to be wondering, how is my son doing? Is my daughter still alive? Is my wife okay? Is my husband okay? Is my dad okay? Is my mom okay? So that might be running through people's minds, like, damn, shit, I hope my family's okay. You know, I want, because if it's happening to you, it's gonna be happening to everybody else. So you're gonna have that going on through people's mind too. Like, shit, how's my sister? How's my brother? Okay, how's my how's my damn, my wife? Damn, my dad, my grandpa, my uncle, my cousin, you know, my friend. See? So a lot of people are going to be worried about their friends, their families. So that's going to be something running through people's minds, like, damn, you know, like, whoa, you know, like, are they okay? You know what I'm saying? See? So you're not going to have, you know, uh, you know, communication out here. Cell phones, you know, internet, you know, iPads. You're not gonna have communication out here. See, so you're gonna have that big question mark, like, damn, you know, uh, you got animal lovers out here, so people are gonna be wondering about their pets, you know. Yeah, remember that movie, I Am Legend? You know, he only had that dog with him. I believe it was a German Shepherd. All right. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe it was a German Shepherd, something like that, you know? Because a lot of people, they just have pets or dogs. So people are going to be concerned about, damn, my pets, my animals, you know? Yeah. There's a lot of that's going to be happening down here. You see? All right. Verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Right. So no pity means no emotion. They're not going to feel sorry, nothing, because just like this world right now promotes, you know, like a dog world, everyone step on each other to climb up the ladder, you know, telling one another just for you can look good in front of your bosses. You got a lot of kiss asses up here, you know, that way they can look good. So they have a lot of a lot of people who tell each other out here just so they can look good in front of the boss. All right. So you already have this society like that out here, you know. Oh, I'm just gonna do me, you know. Oh, I'm just gonna get my paper, however, you know. I don't give a damn. See, so this place already promotes that. So how much more when there's nothing left? People are not gonna hesitate to steal what the people out here got, you know. They're not gonna feel bad, like, oh well, hey, I'm sorry, man, but I gotta feed my family. No, they're just gonna take it, okay? Because in a time of survival, okay, and a time of survival, and a time of you know, all-out chaos, anarchy, uproars. You see, okay, you're gonna be in people, okay, are gonna be in you know, a mind state of complete survival. Okay, they're gonna be in a mind state of complete survival. You see, all right. So many people are going to be in that, you know, in that mind state of survival. You know, yeah, it's it's very heavy. So, verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Shall have no pity upon his neighbor, and shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Because people are going to be, you know, starved to death out here. You know, they're going to have no food. So for that famine, lack of bread. So 2nd Esdras chapter 16. Let me see. Verse 2. Gird up yourselves with cloth and sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. Huh? So this is what's coming, you know, the destruction, the judgment, you know? And this is And this is something that, that brings great comfort to the elect, because you're aware of what's about to happen out here, All right, because you're well aware, so knowing's half the battle, because like, man, damn, what's coming down the pike, you see? All right, because the majority of people out here, they're not gonna know. They're not gonna know, like, what the hell's going on. Like in a lot of these movies where they have civil war and all that, people are in a panic because they don't know what is that. What's going on. See, like in those like Godzilla movies and stuff like that. Before they see Godzilla, they see people running. People are scared because they don't know what's going on. They're like, "What's going on? Why are people running?" Because Godzilla came out and started destroying the cities. But that's how it's gonna be, because people are not gonna know what's going on. Why are people just killing each other? So a lot of people are gonna be afraid because of great confusion, because they're not gonna know. They're not gonna have the answers. That's why this word's very precious, because at least the elect, those of you that are, watching, okay, look, this is what's gonna happen. Look, the Lord told the prophets, and the prophets are telling the masses. So okay, yep, this is gonna happen. It's about to go down out here. See, not like people just watching Netflix and, oh, what the hell's going on? Hey, I'm starving. What is this shit? See, yeah. Verse 3: a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? Yeah, because a sword, wars, okay, great judgment is coming to you, No one can send it back because it's coming from the Lord. A fire is set among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? Because no one can escape it. Okay, it doesn't matter like these elites, they're going underground trying to escape it. They can't. Their time is up. Okay, that's why the elect are just laughing at them, because they're not going anywhere. They could try to hide and build cases on the believers of the Lord. That don't even matter. Okay, these heathens and Edomites are going to slavery, and the angels and Yahushua are going to get all of them. Yep, and hunt all of them down. See, so it don't matter right now. They want to control the narrative and build cases and all that. That don't matter. Okay, a lot of them are about to perish horribly, especially those who are actually like coming against the Lord. Damn, those teams are going to perish like very bad, very bad, very bad. So that's why the elect, because they have that comfort. Isaiah 33:6, and knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times. See? Verse 2nd Esdras chapter 16 verse 10. He shall cast lightnings, the Lord, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? Yeah, when you have these big old storms, and you have like the lightning and thunder, like, damn, man, that's just powerful. Imagine a big old tornado, tsunami, hurricanes. So imagine when the Lord gets here, it's about to be off the charts. Verse 11, 2nd Esdras chapter 16 verse 11. The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? Right? Okay. So the Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? Damn. Imagine. Huh? Because the Lord shall, because the Lord is the one threatening, okay, our enemies, through his mouthpiece, the prophets, saying that, they're about to be hunted down, they're going to slavery. Yeah, but that's why the elites, the leaders of this world, they're pissed, because it's a threat. The Lord's threatening them, because the Lord's saying, that he's about to take them and their families out, put them into slavery, and he's coming with, he's gonna, when he gets here, he's going to ignite those ICBMs, set them off, and he's coming to shoot laser beams on people. That's a threat, So that's why the leaders of this world, they're not cool with this word at all. See? So that's why they're going to come up against this word. Don't take that lightly out there, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get too much, where it's, oh, hey, the Lord's coming, it's gonna be all good. It's not gonna be all good. Okay, he's going to give the elect enough to get through it, but remember, it's about to get very, very ugly out here. Because you know how the so-called white man gets down, how he lies, he cheats, he manipulates. So you imagine when he don't like somebody, he tries to destroy him. He's gonna destroy you. How much more when he's fighting for survival because he don't want to go into slavery, and he don't want to lose his kingdom. Best believe that these leaders, these Edomites and heathens, they're going to use everything they can, okay? Because they're not just gonna lay down. So you imagine? So they're gonna come at the believers very hard, very, very hard. All right, so that's why it's just to keep it in mind. Yes, the Lord is gonna protect His elect, but the elect are gonna go through some things. Very, very important. Remember that. We're not out the woods yet. All right, there's great wrath coming. Okay, there's great tribulation and persecution coming. Great. All right, these agents out here ain't just building up cases for nothing. All right, they're putting the men and women in categories. Yeah, they already got plans for them of where to send them. Some to send to black sites, prisons, you name it. Okay, they already got brothers and sisters in categories. Believe that? Believe that. All right, it's very, very true. All right, that's something that you have to keep in the back of your mind, because it's gonna really happen out here. It's not just some story and some fairy tale. No, these elites are going to come down hard on the believers of Yahweh Shema Shai. Big time. We're talking major. Okay, but the Lord's gonna be with His elect. But remember, with that, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna go through it. For those of you out there, so you gotta be ready. You gotta know that we're in a time of war, so you have to be in like soldier mode. You gotta be ready. All right, because you gotta be ready at any hour. They could come and just take you out of your house, take your family from you. All right, just take you to anywhere at any time from here on out. From here on out, it's day to day. Okay, day to day, because they can just roll on you whenever. Yeah, Yep. So you have to just know that. Of course, go about your life. Take care of your priorities, handle your business, pay your bills, take care of your family. But just know that we're in that time where Esau is gonna start rolling and start picking people up. So you gotta have that. Don't ever get too comfortable. We're like, all right, I had a good week, and you got a lot of food. Because sometimes you got good weeks, and you're like, all right, but you gotta always keep that. Yeah, you may have had a good week and might have went to the movies or the mall or to the beach and said, all right, hey, this was a pretty good week. Probably got good new shoes, and you probably got a raise at your job, so you're probably feeling all right. Okay, but don't let that. Don't get distracted. Okay, yes, that is good. You're doing better for yourself, but remember what time you're in. And especially if you're a believer or a prophet of the Lord, you have a target on your back and you're being watched 24/7. Especially those of you that are teaching the word. Okay, you got the left-hand side, and you got their mightiest military intelligence watching you 24 hours. Okay, and they got spies, clones. They got neighbors on their payroll. They got your even your workers. Okay, telling your boss and stuff on the low. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on that a lot of people don't know about. It's all right. It's something for you not to be paranoid about. Something for you not to be all just like looking behind your back 24/7, like all scared. It's just something to for your general information, to let you know that. All right, because remember, these elites, they know who you are, and especially those of you that are teaching the word. Remember, the teachers of Yahweh Shema Shai, the prophets, are the #1 threat to the New World Order. Okay, and remember, these devils have the whole world in their hands. So you don't think they're gonna have teams? They're gonna have you're so important. Okay, that they're gonna have teams. Like they'll have a whole team assigned just for you. A whole team. That's how scared they are of you. That's how much they want to make sure that you don't get that spiritual power, because they're scared. Okay, trust. That's just for your information for those of you out there, especially those of you that are on the front lines. You have a whole team assigned just for you. Yep, they have clones out here that they don't even have to sleep. You know. Remember, I told you guys about those clones already. You know, they have the left hand side. Okay, they have heavy and very advanced AI. You know, and teams. Yeah. Yep. Remember, like that movie Superman. Remember when they tried to take him down, they had a whole team just to try to take him down. Same thing with the men of the Lord. They have teams like that. They have teams assigned on one person. Especially if they feel that you're one of the 144, shit, you'll have teams with an S, plural. Yup. They'll even have militaries watching you. That's how scared they are. Because they're like, oh, we got, hey. Because they know, okay? Because they know. All right, so that's something that you have to really, really consider. You know, it's not just like, oh, I can't trust nobody and just, no, it's just something to keep in back of your mind. Okay, because when the time comes, they are going to roll. But the Lord and the angels are going to intervene and help out the elect. But some elect, remember, are going to have to go to camps, are going to have to go with them when they come to pick you up. So you got to keep that in back of your mind. Remember that just because you have a good week, a good day, remember, you may get some new shoes. You might get a raise. You're like, all right, things are going good. Remember, doesn't mean that those teams are not on you. They're watching you 24 hours, 24/7. But just remember that when you have good weeks, all right, don't be like, all right, hey, it's cool. And remember that you have a target on your back from these elites. Hey, you may not see them, but they're watching you. But it's all right. The angels are watching them. Remember, it's one big fiesta. Okay? But just remember that. Don't get too comfortable out there. Remember, you don't gotta live like a scaredy cat, be all paranoid. It's just for your information. That's it. Okay? Don't even worry about, oh, who's the spy? Who's this? Who's that? Don't even worry about that, mijo. Don't even worry about that, mija. Because the Lord and the angels got you covered. Okay? Because the angels got them surrounded. So don't worry about that. You just focus on your walk, and that's just general information for you to know and back your mind. But when you go out there, yes, live your life and be strong, but just know that there's a target on you. That's all. Okay? You don't got to be scared. You don't got to be paranoid. Just believe in the Lord and be bold and courageous. All right? In front of your enemy. All right? Because remember, our enemies, they're nothing, and their time is up, and they're going down. So remember that. All right, on your feet, soldier. So let's go to let's read that again. Okay, 2nd Esdras chapter. Where are we at? Now we're at an hour. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna have to make a part 2 because there's a lot, and I don't even want to go over the hour mark. So I'll stop right here at the 11th verse, and Lord willing, later on today. I'll get a part 2, that way, we go into the 16th chapter, because there's a lot here. I don't want to skip too much, that way we can get all this meat off the bone. All right, so 2nd Ezra chapter 16 verse. Oh, 2nd Ezra chapter 16 verse 11. The Lord Yahweh Shai shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence. Right. Because the beaten to powder at his presence, because the Lord is going to shoot laser beams and vaporize our enemies. They're going to be turned to powder. Yep. So with that's it on today's lesson on Civil War Part 1. With that, stay in the spirit, continue to do your best, be bold and courageous. And remember, it's not just, and you got nothing to prove to this world. All right, you prove it to the Lord. You show him that you're a believer and that you're not afraid of the wicked. Okay, be bold as a lion out here, and the Lord's gonna come for you. And the Lord's going to upgrade you. Yes, he will. Okay, you will be strengthened and you will be uplifted in due time. It's like levels, you know, like when you play a video game, you know, you go so far and you beat different levels, you get different armor, you know, you get your boost, you know. It's like that, you know. As the more you go into this thing, the Lord amps you up. Okay, He gives you more power. He gives you a better armor. See, the Lord, He upgrades you. But you gotta be putting in. You gotta be passing these levels. You gotta be putting in, my friend. So with that, stay strong on your feet, soldier. Shalom.